This week's episode of I Was a Teenage Film Snob is not brought to you by meticulous planning. There's no joke here. This week, we're winging it. Welcome to I Was a Teenage Film Snob. I'm James Chalmers, your friendly neighborhood film snob, and this is, of course, a Pod Squad episode, which means we have Maddie.
Doing a dance. I didn't
That's
know you
just
were
doing a dance
me.
on
Hi.
an audio format. We don't have Nick on the second Pod Squad episode ever. He's not here. This episode, I would say, Maddie, has just been an absolute shambles, because last time we were all together, we're like, all right, we're all going to watch Mickey 17. We're going to talk about it. I messaged you guys on the weekend, guys, I saw Mickey 17. Neither of you had the chance to go see it. So we came up with
first of all, we were going to all go see it together, and then
We're all
that
gonna-
fell in a
that's true.
shit pile.
We were all going to see
and
it
then we couldn't
together.
go see it.
I think the problem was we were all going to go see it together with our partners. So trying to coordinate 6 schedules. And then when that didn't work out, Nick was like, oh, look, I'm going to cordially bow out. I'm not going to be able to make it, but I'll see it on my own. I was like, all right, no worries. And then we were going to try and schedule it, Tina and I and you and your husband, David. And
no one could find a fucking babysitter.
None of us, neither could make it work out. And Tina was like, look, I want to see it, but I don't really care. Why don't you go see it with Maddie and David? I was like, oh, well, I'm not going to third wheel them. So I'll see if Maddie wants to see it, but I think she really wants to see it with David. They don't see a lot of movies together. We'll just see what happens. And you were like, yeah, I want to see it with David. I was like, cool, fair enough. I'm your pod husband. He's your real husband. I will.
He gets to win one of them. Yeah.
I will bow out for this one. And then, so I just went and saw it by myself. I had a grand old time, and that's all I'll say about it. Because I haven't talked to pretty much anyone about the flick. I've only told Tina a few things, but she's never seen a film by that director. So she hasn't seen Parasite. She hasn't seen Snowpiercer. So she didn't really get what I was talking about. And then I spoke to one other person, and like, oh, those are some good thoughts. So I've been tight-lipped. I haven't even done a 90-second review. So when that fell apart, I was like, should we do something else? And you had the wonderful idea. We're like, well, we just had International Women's Day. Like, why don't we celebrate that? And I know some countries now actually celebrate as International Women's Month. So even better. Like, what a great opportunity. And then literally hours ago, Nick was like, I'm sick. I can't do it. But I want to do the International Women's episode and a Mickey 17. So we were like, what do we do?
Literally within like 10 minutes of him bowing out, we're like, okay, we're gonna wing it. And so literally I decided, too bad, I'm derailing. This episode is about winging it.
Which I'm cool with.
Except you made me explain it to you.
Well, no, because I thought, that's what I thought. I thought you were like, oh, we'll do movies where people wing it. I was like, that's really specific. I was like, I'm going to have to think of things. And I was like, wait, wing it. When they wing it, the plan doesn't go right. And I got really, and I was like, at the same time trying to put Zoe to bed. Like, and then I was half an hour late because Zoe just wouldn't go to sleep tonight.
We're improvising. It's films where they improvise. That's what we're going for.
And just all Christopher Guest films.
In sequence.
Which actually, I just rewatched Waiting for Guffman a few weeks ago, and man, that flick holds up like better than I remembered, because I like his movies quite a bit, but my favorites are not Waiting for Guffman. That's probably like on the lower end of the tier. Have you seen any of his films?
No, and what year is that one?
So Guffman's like 94, I want to say. Best in Show is around like 99, 2000, 2001, somewhere like that. And my favorite of his is A Mighty Wind, and that's 2003. But all of his films are improv. So if you haven't seen them, and he didn't direct, but he was involved in This Is Spinal Tap.
Okay.
Yeah. So all of his films, including Spinal Tap, which he didn't direct, I think Rob Reiner directed that, are basically like, here's the plot, here's the beats, every conversation is improvised. Like, and all they do like for months before filming is just get into character, rehearse their characters, like try to find out all their little like kind of oddities and kind of like niches, and then they're just like, all right, in this scene we need to get from point A to point B, go about it how you will. And they're fantastic.
It must be so much fun. Can you imagine the actors just literally like playing off each other?
Well, you got Eugene Levy from Schitt's Creek, so he's in all of them. You got Catherine O'Hara also from Schitt's Creek in all of them. You got Fred Willard, who I don't know if you would know him by name, but he was one of the grandpas in Modern Family. So not the main grandpa, but the other one. But he's been in a bunch of stuff. Um,
I'm looking up his face now. Oh, he's such a sweetie. Was he in Community as well at some stage?
yes, he was
Mm.
fake Pierce in
Yes.
Abed's
Oh,
mind.
he's such a sweetie. Yeah.
Yeah. Jennifer Coolidge is in most of them as well. Larry Miller. So Larry Miller's the guy in Pretty Woman who like kind of helps her get all dressed up. He's like the
Oh, yeah.
fashion guy, yeah. Jennifer Coolidge, obviously Stifler's mom and Two Broke Girls, and like just Legally Blonde. So it's just like it's the same cast pretty much in every single flick, and then they just yeah. So Best in Show was about competitive dog competitions, like the Best
Mm.
in Show. Um, Waiting for Guffman is about an independent, like kind of theater company. Like it's the 200th anniversary of their town. So they're like, we're going to put on a show. And then like a New York critic gets wind of it. So they want to try and impress the critic. And Mighty Wind is like, this is Spinal Tap, but for folk music. Um, and
Oh my
that's my
goodness.
favorite one. Like that one, oh my God, like just cracks me up.
Oh
Harry
my
Shearer
goodness.
from The Simpsons is in most of them as well.
Alright,
Um,
so I need to watch, tell me what's the last one?
A Mighty Wind.
Mighty Wind. Okay, so that is definitely going on the list 100%. I
That
need to
one
watch
is
that.
I love it so much. Like it's so funny. And like not everyone gets it. Like and that's something like you don't get the jokes. But like there's really subtle ones like for one, like this is showing like one of the bands because in that one in A Mighty Wind, the whole idea is that this founder of this folk music record label has passed away, and to honor him, they're going to throw this like huge concert in the city, and all of the major bands from that label get will reunite and like do a show in his honor and stuff.
Mhm.
And like one of the bands. They're showing like all their albums, and all the albums are just like pickin', strummin', flickin'. Like it's just the most basic terminology. um, and there's like another one where the guy's like the guy who runs the venue. He's like, it's gonna be, we always enjoy a challenge. We love a challenge, and this show's last minute. That's gonna be a challenge. It's gonna be a bigger challenge for me because I don't even like folk music. Like just like little dumb jokes like that. Um, in that one, Fred Willard, I was mentioned before, plays like a washed up TV sitcom star. So like he was a child actor and he had a catchphrase and now it's like 50 years later and he's still trying to make it happen. Like he'll just come in like a bomb in, like interrupt things and just drop his catchphrase when he was a kid.
Catchphrase. He wants to bring it back. Oh,
He's got like bleach blonde like tips, like the spikes. Oh, it's so funny. Um, that
it
flick
sounds like
is
my type of humor. I'm
but
so down.
also like really heartfelt. Like Eugene Levy and Catherine O'Hara play this like so they no longer work together. Like they were kind of like this folk couple, kind of like a June Carter and Johnny Cash type. Like they kind of were separate
Oh,
musicians.
okay.
They came together and was like, whoa, like look how
Yeah.
amazing they are. But they had a falling out and they haven't spoken to each other in like 20 years. And the whole thing that was magic about them is there's this one song and they would always kiss on TV when they sang the song. Like just like this very sweet, like kind of peck, whatever. And everyone's like, "Are they gonna kiss? Like, what's gonna happen?" Like, "Oh my god!" Like, they haven't spoken to each other. He's gone insane, and so there's this weird, like, romantic tension, and like, will they or won't they kind of put everything aside? It's wonderful. Parker Posey is in all of them. She's wonderful in them, and the dude I can never remember the guy's name. Oh my god! Like you'd
We need
know
to
him.
live Google it. Come on, get your phone out. Tell
Yeah.
me.
In Community, he was the one who was like the Dead Poet Society teacher who was like, "Seize the day," John Michael Higgins.
No, I was
Um,
like, hey, I'm trying to figure. I would never have got his name, but yeah,
No, it's a really like normal name. It's not a Hollywood name at all.
yeah.
John Michael Higgins. So he's in it, and he like runs like his band is like they're always doing edgy covers of the old folk music. So,
They're updating it. So rad.
yeah, and they're all like annoyed because they're like, "Oh man, they're ruining our music." Oh man, I don't know how we got onto. Oh no, because you said we're going to improv, and then I did a whole like 10 minutes on Christopher Guest films. I've got most of them. There's only like one film of his I haven't seen, I think, and that's um Brassed Off. Is it Brassed Off? I think it's Brassed Off, and it's like
I'm
competitive.
just watching your brain go through those categories so quickly, like flicking little librarian cards, like
Yeah, I've got the
found
Rolodex
the thing
going.
I'm after.
Yeah, but the last one he did, I think, was Mascots, which was a Netflix film, and that was quite fun. I quite enjoyed that. And that was about competitive mascots. Like it's always just like competitions about like the most niche thing that you wouldn't think of.
Show dogs, mascots. When I was a kid, I used to be terrified of mascots, like well into my teens.
Has
Terrified.
Tina ever told you the story about her mum and Humphrey Bear?
I don't think so.
So for the listeners who are outside of Australia and under the age of 40, Humphrey Bear was like a children's character on TV, and it was obviously a guy in a suit. And apparently, Tina's mum, like when she was a little girl, like went to an event and Humphrey Bear was there, and she shook his hand and felt the human hand inside, and it freaked her
Yeah.
out.
Oh, yeah, no, I don't like I didn't like mascots growing up. Something about, like, an extra large sized, like, red dog or, like,
Mm.
Franklin the turtle. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
someone used to do our, in Australia, we had used to have book fairs where you'd have, like, all
Hmm.
these cool, like, books come to your library and you could purchase books and all this stuff,
I
and
think they
someone
have them
would
in
always
America
dress
as
up.
well, the Scholastic
I
Book
hope
Fair,
so.
because
Yeah,
Scholastic is
well,
an
anyway,
American brand. Yeah.
yeah, well, anyway, someone would always dress up in like a Clifford the Red Dog or a Franklin the Turtle, and I reckon that's where my fear started because I was just like, "Ah, that is a giant turtle, and he's walking on his hind legs and like gesturing. What the fuck's going on?" Anyway, couldn't stand it. Terrifying. Even now, I reckon I'm kind of okay, but I'm never getting up close to one.
Yeah. Well, that's I'm glad you're interested in a Mighty Wind because that we talked last episode that we're going to start like bringing some of our lesser known films and like we'll make each other watch them so we can do that. And a Mighty Wind's definitely on my list.
Yeah,
So we'll
I've
have
already
to.
picked what's on. I've picked what's on the top of my list for like what I really want to show you first, like
Mm,
you and Nick, and I want to sit and like watch your
is
faces
it
while
the
you watch
Thief and the
almost.
Cobbler?
No, that's not that's should be close to the damn top, but I've got one that's topped it even more that's just very like you'll love it. So,
Nice,
yep.
excellent.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness, sorry, I was just having a good old laugh about a Mighty Wind. I'm gonna have to watch that soon. I've been doing a bunch of re-watches over the last couple of weeks. I'm up to date. I've watched every Blu-ray I bought overseas now, so now I'm going back through the ones I already own. Um,
Amazing. And we've got a celebration. How many films are you up to now, sir?
I don't know what number I'm at, but I've crossed 100. So, and
You.
just so for people who are, trying to do the maths at home, we haven't even hit 100 days yet in the year. We're at like March 31st will be 90 days, I think. So I'm 16 ahead.
Head.
So, no, I'm 26 ahead. So we're at like 74 days or something, something crazy like that. I don't know how it's happened. Like in Scotland, it made sense because I was working nights and I had free time and like stuff like that. So that was a little bit different. But I don't know how I've managed to keep it up in Australia because I've watched TV shows. I've watched more TV shows this year than I've had in the last couple of years. I've watched a few, so I don't know.
You just got some skills, man.
And I watched long ones. Like yesterday, I watched Midsummer almost in one entire sitting because I started at 11 and Zoe was off at her grandparents. I was like, you know what? I haven't watched Midsummer in a couple of years. Like, let's put this on. And that's almost 3 hours long. And I watched most of it before I started work. So, um,
Mm.
that is a flick and a half. Oh boy, that's
I
a tough
know,
one.
you love it. It's always in your top 10. You love that
I
film.
don't know if it's in there anymore. I was thinking about it. Like, I don't know. Well, it's always in my top five. I was thinking about. I really enjoy it, but it's been a couple of years since I've watched it, and now that my daughter is a little bit older and I'm more afraid of the world, it might be too messed up to be in my top five. But I still really love it.
You really love it.
The first few minutes, the first 12 minutes is still some of the most terrifying stuff ever put on screen. I think so.
Oh, yeah. When I first watched it, I think I was like, "I think I get the hint of where this is going," and I skipped over it a bit. I was like, "Nope, nope,
Oh
don't want that
boy.
visuals."
And the use
Yeah,
of that sound, like, oh, like, because I'd forgotten it'd been a while, and the use of music and just like that droning, I'm like, oh, this is so unpleasant. I know, and I knew what
yeah,
was coming, and because I knew what was coming, it wasn't visually as bad as I remembered it. It's still
yeah,
pretty horrible, but at least I was prepared for it. Seen a couple of times because it's weird. The flick is very calm. It's a very calm flick for most of the time, and there are a couple of very brief but super violent moments. That scene at the start
mm.
isn't violent; it's just unnerving.
Jarring?
Oh
Yeah,
my god, like it's just so dark. So, and if you've seen it before, you know what's coming. And I was like sitting, I'm like, oh man, I know what's coming. I won't skip over it. Like I know what's coming. I know what's coming. And then I think because I'd made it out so awful in my head when it finally happened, I'm like, okay, not as bad as I remember. Really glad I watched on the TV and not on the projector. Really glad I watched
yeah,
it during the day and not at night.
yeah. Like, yeah, brilliant, but harrowing. Yeah.
Yeah. That's the other thing I did. I watched. I finally have used the home cinema properly. I've sat in the chairs. I've watched movies in them. Um, it's It's amazing. It's so good. Because you and Nick, when you came over, we had to share that that manky old couch.
We were snuggling up on a couch.
It was very cute. But now, like, even though less people can sit in there, like it's a whole different experience. Like sitting on that couch in the like at 11 o'clock in the morning, like not the most optimal way to watch a movie with all
It
that
was
sunlight
fine, except
coming.
for the fact that I can't sit still. So I was trying so hard to be on my best
Mm,
behavior and make a good impression because it was the first time I don't, maybe the first time, maybe the second time I'd met Nick in person. So I didn't want to be
mm.
like a dickhead jittering around like I had a big wedgie. And so I was trying to sit still and I just couldn't sit still and I was trying and then there was so much anxiety around like, sit still, I think you're a freak, stop moving.
Yeah. Oh, it's fine. I've gone to the movies with Nick plenty of times. He wouldn't have batted an eye. He would have been totally fine. Let's keep talking
Well,
about him because he's
you
not
could
here.
have told me that beforehand.
I didn't know you were going to do that. Um, but yeah, the chairs. I sat down. I watched last Friday. I sat down and watched Daredevil by myself, and I was like, man, I never got to see this in theaters, and this feels pretty damn close. And that was lovely. And because there was no one in there with me, Zoe was asleep and Tina was out at the concert. I could use both trays, so I had one tray for snacks and one for remote. So I was like, this is great. Um, and then I took Zoe to Cash Converters on the weekend. 'Cause I haven't been since I came back, and I get a lot of my movies secondhand from there now. And now
Yeah.
that she has her collection, I was like, "Oh, you grab a few as well." And I've got a sneeze coming. I can feel it. Pardon me. There it is. Apologies to the listeners for that explosion in your ears. But
Slay you.
she picked up a bunch of Blu-rays, and we kicked back and watched Boss Baby in the home theater. And she didn't get out of the chair once. She was like, "This is the best." So it
Weird.
worth the time and the money. It's so good.
So next time you're telling me Nick and I have to like rock, paper, scissors to see who's got the floor and who's
I'll
got
just
a
leave.
chair.
I'll be like, "You guys watch the movie. I'll go. I'll leave you to it, and let me know how it was."
Oh,
Well,
BYOB, bring your own beanbag.
yeah, we'll have to beanbag it up. Zoe's got a beanbag. She's like, "I'll just bring that in," but it's I was like, "I don't know. It's your reading one. Let's get like a more like inflatable, like beanbaggy chair type thing." And I know
Yeah.
those are all different things, but something like that. We'll suss it out. I'm sure the listeners are like, "I'm so glad I tuned in for this." Talk more about your accessories. We got some news, some stuff we didn't touch on last week. So I'm interested to hear what you think. First of all, I think I touched on we've been invited to attend a podcast to be guests, which is really nice. The Revisionist Almanac, run by Andrew, who's a huge friend of the show. He was the last episode of 2024 actually. He's asked us to come on next year and celebrate a year with him. So I don't know if that's a spoiler and whether I'm allowed to announce it, but whatever.
He's asked. It's not, yeah, come on. He's asked us. We don't know
Yeah.
if we're like locked in, but absolutely sounds good.
Yeah, man. So it'll be like a 3 hour show. We'd have to figure out a way to coordinate it. But he's an absolute sweetheart, and his podcast is awesome. They go through um, the Academy Awards. Like every episode, he has 12 episodes a year, just as monthly episodes. And each episode, they watch like as many movies as possible from the year of a certain Academy Awards ceremony, and then go through and be like, did they get it right, or did we find better? And then they kind of go through and like revise the Academy Awards on the Oscars' behalf, and it's
They're like,
really
no,
fun.
no, no, you guys were wrong.
It's a really fun show. So, but it require a lot of prep from us as well. And right now, you have two young children, and I've got one young child, and Nick is sick at least today. So hopefully he's not sick for the next year. But we got invited to that. We've been invited to be critics, to be movie critics, which is really cool. There's a new review platform. I haven't said yes yet. I said I'd talk to you guys behind the scenes, and now I'm airing it out on the podcast. But they're like a new platform, and they're like, we really like. They watched like a bunch of our videos, like they watched like all the ones we did separately, and they listened to the podcast, and like we want you to like be certified critics on our platform. I was like, okay, let me talk to the team, and I'll get back to you. So that was pretty exciting, pretty validating. I was like, how do you feel about critics who like everything? Because that's what you're going to get from me. I
How do you
don't
like
know.
about critics who get really sidetracked? Because that's me.
Yeah, how do you like? How do you feel about critics who do Pee Wee Herman impressions? That was the selling point to Andrew on the Revisioned Almanac. He goes, "Oh my god, I just heard a Pee Wee Herman impression. She has to come on." I was like, I don't know if there's gonna be a Pee Wee movie in the year we're doing, but I'll let her know. Um, and we had
We got
some.
some fan mail.
We got
Not
fan no,
fan mail.
fan
Fan mail,
art.
what do you call it? Fan art.
We got
Hell
fan
yeah.
art, which I posted online. So Jake from the Movie Bonus podcast, who I just did a video for a couple of weeks ago. If anyone here listens to Movie Bonus, they do their annual awards show, and I presented the award for best stunts, and I dressed up as Batman and Robin, um, and did a bunch of cartwheels and all sorts of stuff, looking
You did some
very.
stunts, man. They were
I
amazing.
I did. Well, Jake listened to our episode and he loved the dynamic and he loved all of our Nick Cage talk, and so he did some fan art of Nick Owen as Nick Cage in the Wicker Man remake, and it's genius. Um, I almost feel like we were talking last episode. We're going to do some T-shirts, and you came up with a T-shirt design shockingly quickly. I almost feel like what Jake's come up with has to be a T-shirt as well.
I think so. I think maybe like one design on the front, one design on the back, just so that everybody can just have a great time.
Yeah, we're moving away from the official logo and just memeing every episode now, basically. Um, we crossed 2,000 streams. That's a big deal. 2,000 listens of the podcast, um, which was awesome. Very exciting. I still like that. Is insane to me that like this show started 3.5 years ago or 3 years ago, and 2,000 people, or maybe not 2,000 people, but there's been 2,000 like streams of episodes. That's insane. So that was very
Mm.
nice as well. Um, and then the last thing is but it's our show. I had some celebrity encounters, which was very fun. I like that as well. So
Yeah, some celebs commenting, resharing, following.
yeah, that was insane.
The works. So
I
good.
was I was talking to someone. They're like, "Wow, they're like you're killing it with the celebrity stuff at the moment." I was like, "The trick is to be shameless, and go out and just do it." But
Yes.
David Howard Thornton, who plays the very famous horror villain Art the Clown. I reviewed a short film he was in. He played the Joker in a short film, and he commented on that. So I've been talking to the director actually a little bit because maybe we can tee up an interview with him, the director. That'd be kind of cool. I haven't even asked him yet, so spoiler alert, dude. If you listen to the podcast, I'm coming for you.
We're manifesting. We're manifesting. This will be, yeah.
But the big one, the huge one for me was Barbara Crampton. That I was literally working. I was doing my job and I was talking to a staff member, and like I just saw the buzz and I was like, "I'm sorry." I was like, "I know we're at work and I know this is not the most professional thing, but a massive celebrity that I'm a huge fan of just talked to me on Instagram." I was like, "So if you don't mind, I'm just going to check this message really quickly." And then I was like, "All right, cool." And I went back to work, and then I saw it. I'm like, "I'm so sorry." She's still there, and I looked at her. I'm like, "She just followed me on Instagram."
Gonna go to a corner right now and squeal like a little happy girl and do a little dance with my tap
I'm not
dancing feet.
even kidding. Like, it was very exciting for me. She was the lead in a really great 80s horror film called Reanimator. So people who are listening, if you've seen that, you know who I'm talking about. If you haven't, go and see Reanimator. It's so much fun. Um, she may or may not be on my International Women's Day list. So on one of the things we're going to talk about. So I won't go into too much detail at the moment about her, but she's done a bunch of stuff. And like she's still acting. She was in a film with Heather Graham like a couple of years ago. Like she's still like putting out all sorts of cool stuff and still doing independent horror like 40 years later. So that was very exciting for me. So we had some cool little moments. Which it sounds like I'm bragging. I'm not. It's just,
No, we're celebrating great stuff.
3 years ago, like when this show was created, I had no idea. I was just like, I'm just gonna like, if I get 10 episodes out and we talk about a few movies, then that's really cool. Um, did not expect it to kind of, and nothing major's happened, but like it's cool for me. Like the biggest disappointment about the Barbara Crampton thing is I was telling people and no one knew who I was talking about because they don't watch 1980s horror films. And so I messaged someone I used to work with like 5 years ago. I'm like, hey, like weird question, but Barbara Crampton is like, of course I do. Like, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, okay. She just followed me on Instagram and he was like, what? I'm like, thank you. That's the reaction I was looking for. Good day.
You're like,
Like,
that's exactly what I wanted. You fulfilled your role, sir. I thank you very much.
yeah, because like I was telling people, I'm like, I don't really watch 80s horror films. I was like, oh man, this is really disappointing. But anyway, so that's a bit of fun news. I've got to save some of those talking points because I have to talk to Nick Owen about Revisionist Almanac, and I have to talk to him about the critic stuff. But yeah, it's been an exciting couple of weeks since we recorded. But You're like we're meant to be winging it, James, and you're boring it. You
We didn't say anything.
you said you've been there's some couple of movies you watched that you want to talk about. So what have you been checking out?
No, it's not recently. It was more like I was gonna go, right, we're gonna fucking wing it. So what are some like films where just the plans go to shit or like people just have to wing it or they're just loose units? And so I was thinking about a few really good ones. And the two that I came up with four, and
Mm,
we can talk about whichever four you want, but I've got two that I kind of really want to talk about. So the
okay.
four on my list where it's just like complete winging it slash chaos slash just excellent cinema is The Hangover.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Die Hard.
Yes. I just watched that recently.
Okay. So I haven't seen it in a while, so you might have to carry me a bit. Collateral. I really want to talk about Collateral. Have you seen it?
Collateral's
Tom Cruise.
so good. For the longest time,
So good.
so like Nick Owen, I'm gonna keep shaming him while he's not here. Nick Owen is a huge Tom Cruise fan, and
Oh,
for our entire friendship, that's one of the few things I haven't really I just didn't understand. And this is going back to my snobby days as well. Just didn't get it. But what I would say to him, like, look, I don't get it. You're crazy. I don't think he's that good. However, Collateral, amazing. That was the one film I'd always caveat. But then I saw Top Gun Maverick, and I was in my post snobby phase, and now I totally get it. Like now I'm on board. I'm cruising for a bruising. I'm all about Tom
so
Cruise.
I'm with you, man. I thought he's fine. He does a good job. I like snippets of bits and pieces he's done, but not
Mm.
like a whole film or a whole character have I been that much like, yeah, he's great. Except the first time I was like, oh shit, yeah, I like Team Cruise at the moment was Tropic Thunder.
Of course.
I was like, ooh, he's committing to this and like flexing some muscles here. And Collateral, and
Mm.
I was saying to, I forgot who it was, I was saying something to a friend about it the other day. And it's the first film role where I was actually like frightened of him. Like,
Well, I think I think it's interesting. The two films you've mentioned, he's playing villains in both of them, and I don't think we're used to really seeing him play a villain. Like
no,
he's always the hero. In that Mission Impossible franchise, which I've really come to love, that most recent one is so good. I don't know if you've seen Dead Reckoning
I
Part One.
haven't seen any of them. No, haven't seen any of them.
Okay, it's really good. I remember messaging Nick. I was literally lying in bed watching it, and I was like, while I was watching, I sent him. I'm like, I was like, if this one doesn't get nominated for like best sound design, that's insane. And then literally a week later, they're like best sound design, like Mission Impossible. I was like, oh my god, like because I find that sound is obviously so important in films, but it's one thing we very rarely pick up on or take too much notice of. We're just so distracted by
Mm,
everything else. But it was so evident, like all the things they were doing. So it's really good. Um, but yeah, he rarely plays villains, and I think
mm.
that's quite an interesting thing. I think often he's playing like a very undefeatable hero. Like I don't go into a Mission Impossible film. I'm never worried about Ethan Hunt. I'm like he's going to come out of it. Like
Mm.
he's the dude. And it's almost like when you watch a Vin Diesel film or like a film with The
Oh,
Rock
yeah, yeah, yeah,
or The Rock. Like
yeah,
they're not going to lose a fight. They're not going to die. So like I find a lot
yeah.
of his films are low stakes, but those ones in particular he's playing villain. And obviously Tropic Thunder is more of a cameo, but he's
I
playing
like
a
him in Edge of Tomorrow. He's good in Edge of
yes.
Tomorrow, but
Do you know
again,
why? Why do you like him
he's
in Edge of
the
Tomorrow?
because I like Emily Blunt and I like the story.
Because he's flawed. He's a dummy. In Edge of
Yeah,
Tomorrow,
and
like
I like watching him get the shit kicked out of him and he has to fucking learn. Yeah,
yes, he
I
has to
enjoy
learn.
that.
I think that's the thing because I remember when The Mummy came out, I went and saw The Mummy, and like people were like it's the worst film ever made. It's not. It's not the worst film ever made. I haven't watched it since it came out, but my biggest problem with it was after about 20 minutes, I just stopped caring because I was like, oh well, Tom Cruise isn't going to get hurt or die or anything like that. So what's the point? And I remember talking about it with people afterwards. I was like, do you know what would have made this film really cool? Because the whole film in The Mummy, Tom Cruise is basically like doing everything Tom Cruise does. He's proving how
Okay.
young he can be and how like tough he is. I was like, do you know what would be far more interesting is if they took the Skyfall approach, and this is a guy who can't do it all. He's past his
Mm,
prime, and now he has the temptation of immortality from the mummy's curse. Like that's suddenly a way more interesting film to me because he's like, I'm not what I used to be. I'm struggling to keep up. I could have it all again, but I'd have to pay the price of being cursed by this, like this kind of infernal
mm,
monster. And so that's a really fascinating story to me. And
mm.
instead, it was like I'm Tom Cruise. And I was like, all right. So I think that's why like those films. I actually just bought Edge of Tomorrow. That's like it's so funny you mentioned that. I literally just bought it the other day when we were thrifting. Um, but yeah, I think it's really interesting. Like the films we tend to enjoy him most in are when he's playing a heavily flawed character, whether he's playing a villain or whether he's playing someone who just doesn't get it. Like
Mm,
in Top Gun Maverick, I think I really liked him because he is the Tom Cruise guy, but also he's like still the reckless dude, the one who was pushing it a bit too far, and he's not beloved, and people don't look at him as a hero. They look at him as like an old timer, like he's out of the game and stuff. So he has some
mm.
flaws to his character, and he has like a chip on his shoulder. So I don't mind that. But
Yeah.
yeah. Sorry, you were talking about Collateral. I went on a whole cruise. So
No, because yeah, Nick's gonna listen to this episode and be like, "Damn it, I had so much I could
I wanted
say."
to talk about Mickey 17. I wanted to talk about International Women's Day. What? You talked about Tom Cruise?
And now you talked about my boyfriend Tom Cruise without me.
Okay, so you want to talk about Collateral? You want to
I
talk
want to talk
about?
about Collateral. Yeah,
Mm.
want to talk about Collateral. And the last one I want to talk about is The Menu with Anya Taylor-Joy and Ray Fiennes.
Oh
I
my god!
know. If
I've
you could give
only
me a kiss on the cheek through the screen, you would.
a chef's kiss,
Mwah.
if you will. I've only seen it once, and I remember like this always happens. I can think back probably the last 10 years. Every time I list my top 10 films of the year, a week later I see a film that goes to like number one. I'm like
Yeah.
2015, Ex Machina. Hadn't seen it. Brought my list out. A week later, I watched Ex Machina. I'm like, well, that was the best film of the year. Like, why did I wait? The Menu was
Yeah.
that one.
I've only ever seen it once as well. But as soon as I thought of it tonight, I'm like, cool, well, I'm sure it's on one of the streaming platforms that I can quickly go back and save to remind myself to
It's
watch it
on
again.
it's on Disney Plus. I'm pretty sure because that's how I watched it.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I literally
And what a
like
great cast.
insane cast. It's so good. The first line of the film really sets the tone for the entire flick, and it's so funny. I don't know if you
I don't
remember.
remember it. What was it?
Oh, it's so funny. Like it's Nicholas Holt. So it's Nicholas Holt and Anya Taylor-Joy. The
Yeah.
screen hasn't even come up yet. It's still black. And he goes, "Put
Yeah.
that cigarette out. You're gonna ruin your effing palate." Um,
Oh, yes. Which is so weird because something that I remembered. I remembered him saying that to her, and then later on, the food critics sitting there smoking the whole time.
mm,
The bitch Blondie sitting there, like, spouting all these amazing words and critiquing everything, and she's, like, choking down a fag the whole time.
mm.
Like, hang on a minute.
Yeah. It's. I need to go. Look, it's actually on my list to rewatch. I was thinking about it the whole time I was overseas. I'm like, man, I want to watch The Menu again. I've got to wait till I get home. And now thinking back, I had Disney Plus overseas the whole time. I could have just pulled it up, but I didn't think about it because I had like those piles of Blu-rays to get through. So I was like, okay, I've got time to stream. I got to get through these new movies.
So
Um,
when I say I'm a massive fan, I still haven't seen everything he's ever done, but everything I have seen him in, I love. I am a big John Leguizamo fan,
yes,
and it all started with The Pest.
I've
And I
never
don't know if
seen The
you've se
Pest, but I knew you were gonna.
okay,
I knew you were gonna say
I
that.
love
Yeah.
The Pest is, like, in the genre of just mentalness, like, I don't know, like Ace Ventura or,
Yeah.
Drop Dead Fred. Like, it's just on another
Drop
level
Dead
of
Fred,
just
which we've
weird.
talked about on the podcast
Yeah.
before.
And also, surprisingly, his character still to this day, because I've got so much nostalgia and love for the character, it hasn't started to piss me off because I'm a school teacher, and there are definitely kids very close to the way he behaves
Mm.
that it should have wrecked it for me, but it hasn't. I've just got such a hardcore love for him. I loved him as Sid the Sloth in all the Ice Ages. I
Mhm.
loved him when he did his stand-up stage show about, like, Latino histories and
Oh,
South
I haven't
American
seen that.
histories.
I didn't know
It's
you were such a
so great.
Leguizamo fan. I
I
have pro
love it.
I've only seen a handful, so
Was he in, John Wick? He's in John Wick. He's gotta be in John Wick. He's the mechanic. Sure
maybe?
of it.
Maybe
I'm
I can't
sure
remember
he's the
now.
mechanic that, like, fixes his car.
Possibly. He's Bruno in Encanto.
In Encanto? Oh,
Yeah.
won't have been
And
my
he
uncle.
was the original he was Luigi in the first Mario Brothers movie.
I didn't know that. So
Oh,
I haven't
really?
seen everything, but
Okay, well,
the things that I've seen,
we have to
oh,
watch that for
God.
the podcast because that movie's insane. Like, it's so dumb. Like, it's funny, like, Zoe, I've created a kids section. I think I told this last time. I created a kids section in the film room now, so Zoe can go and she can go and pick and choose what she wants to watch without seeing all of the horrible films. I'm actually in the process of taking all of the scariest covers and most erotic covers off the shelf and putting them on up the top because there are a couple of covers that look just a little bit too sexy for for four. So I've been moving those. But there's a kids section, and next to the animated Mario film, which she loves, it's one of her favorites. She can see the other one, and she's like, "Is this a Mario film?" I'm like, "It is," because they're in the overalls. And then on the spine is a picture of a Goomba, because there are Goombas in the '90s movie, but they're not the Goombas that you've seen in the game. They're not small. This is a live
Oh,
action film starring Dennis Hopper as Bowser. They're giant. So there's giant like dinosaur things, and they look insane. And
oh
Zoe
Jesus.
is terrified of it, but also really wants to watch it.
She's
Um,
fascinated with fear.
it's not like Bob Hoskins is Mario, and John Leguizamo is Luigi, and there's a 20-year age gap, but they're brothers. Dennis Hopper is Bowser.
I hate to
Um,
say, are there also a little bit of discrepancies in their accents?
um, yeah. Well, Bob Hoskins is doing like a New York accent. He's like so,
Okay.
which is what Chris Pratt did. I always found it really unfair that people came down on Chris Pratt for Mario. They're like, "That's not what an Italian sounds like." It's like, no, it's what someone from Brooklyn sounds like. Like
From
that's what he's
Brooklyn,
doing.
yeah.
Like, so yeah, he's like in New York, and then like John Leguizamo just sounds like John Leguizamo. Like it's just, um,
I love him. I reckon he's wonderful. He's a wonderful
okay.
human,
We'll
and
have
his performances are wonderful. So,
we're
yeah.
gonna have to watch that for the podcast, like because it's insane. I don't know if Nick's seen it. Um, I love it because I have just because it was part of my childhood. But it's like going back and watching the old Ninja Turtles films. Like if you grew up with them, like they're quite fun. If you didn't grow up with them, you're like, what the hell is this? Like it's very much that. Like Tina, I don't think she's seen it. She would have a hard time with it. She'd be like, "Oh my god, what is this trash?" But
You'd be like, my childhood, be kind.
yeah, um, but okay. So you're a Leguizamo fan. I had no idea.
I need to show you the pest, and then you'll know why.
Yeah, we talked about this after we recorded last week, but or the other week. You're gonna have a hottie of the week list, so maybe this week it's Leguizamo.
No, no, I know who it is this week. Last time it was who was it? Sean Connery and oh my god, it's gone
It
out of my
was
head.
Richard Gere.
Richard Gere and Sean Connery was last week. Nah, this week it's Dev Patel.
He's a good looking man.
He's a glorious looking handsome man.
Did you ever
And then
watch?
who should I pair him up with? Who else do I think's really good? I'm gonna go with Anya Taylor Joy. She can be on the list this week.
She is speaking of
She's
Mario because she
gorgeous.
played Princess, but she is a very good looking woman. Um, did you ever watch the TV show Skins?
Oh yeah. I
So
watched easily the first 3 or 4 seasons
okay,
because
so
I
you
think
know
I
Dev
was
Patel from there because that's where he began.
and Nick Holt.
And Nick
Yeah.
Holt. Well, Nick Holt was also in About a Boy. Um,
Yes.
yeah,
But
so
he
he's
was
been
in
doing it for a while.
Skins at the same season as Dev Patel.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so crazy that Anwar from Skins is now like Academy Award nominated. I think he won an Academy Award? I can't remember, but he's definitely nominated. Directed Monkey Man, which is incredible. Um,
Mm, yeah.
do you know what we didn't do at the start of the show was talk about what we have watched lately. We just because I went and saw The Monkey, which is the new Oz Perkins Stephen King movie. I went and saw that a couple of weeks ago, and that was really fun. So yeah, The Monkey.
Was it a horror?
It's a
It's
horror.
Stephen King, so
It's a
like I was
horror film,
wondering.
but it's real. Like it's gory. It's quite violent, but it's very much a comedy. Like
Oh, okay.
yeah, I don't think the trailer sold it like that. And this guy's coming off Long Legs. Like he directed Long Legs last year, and now he's made The Monkey. So I was like, oh, this is gonna be so messed up, and it is, but it's very funny. And the whole idea is that there's two boys, um, are gifted this kind of like wind up monkey doll, and every time you wind it, someone dies. It's kind of like,
Like Jumanji, don't open the board game.
yeah, it's actually very much like Final Destination. It kind of feels like that. Like I don't know if you ever watched the Final Destination, because the first one is quite creepy, but then as the sequels go on, they get quite camp and silly, and it's less about the story
Lean
and more
in. It's
about
good.
how insane can the kills be, and that's what this felt like. And it was. I went with my buddy Josh, and we were laughing the whole time. It was so funny. So that I went and saw The Monkey. Watched, as I said, like lots of movies since we last spoke, but I would recommend it. Like it was way funnier than I was expecting it to be. I thought it was gonna be very serious. And what's his name? Oh, what's the? Is it the 50 Shades guy? I think it's him who's in it. I can't remember what his name is off the top of my head.
Welsh. Is it the Welsh actor? Forgotten what his
He's
name is.
definitely from the UK. He played the bad guy in In-Betweeners. He was like the douchebag guy. But if I just look up the monkey, Theo James.
Oh no,
Uh,
that's not 50 Shades. That's
oh, that's Jamie Dornan.
Divergent. That's Divergent and The
Oh, I'm
Gentleman.
sorry,
And
I'm getting these confused. Like they're all the same. Like,
they're beautiful brunettes, beautiful
yeah,
brooding brunettes.
but
Fair
Theo
enough.
James, he's wonderful. He's really good. He plays a character I'm not used to him playing because he's playing very much like a meek, like kind of nerdy, like been kind of squashed down his entire life type character. He actually
Oh,
plays,
okay.
yeah, he actually does play twins, but the main character that he's playing is the kind of the meek one, and he's really good in it. And Tatiana Maslany is in it as well. She's always good. So the girl from Orphan Black and She Hulk and stuff like that. So
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Now I've got her face pictured. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so the monkey was really fun, but that was like 20 films ago for me.
Flex your muscles, all right.
Yeah. I've been having a good couple of weeks. I've been just rewatching some of my faves. I rewatched Blockers. I love Blockers. I think Blockers is one of the most underrated comedies of this last decade. It's very sweet as well, so I like that one. But yeah, you been watching anything, or should we just get into your winged? Like I'm winging it, man. I'm winging it.
Winging it. I can't think off the top of my head.
Mm,
I think the majority of things that I've seen have been rewatches.
mm.
But I did my review on Furiosa. That was probably the most recent new-ish film I hadn't seen before, didn't know anything about, went in. So I did my review on Furiosa, loved it, definitely going back again to
So
look,
good. So I
to
couldn't
spend my time
believe
looking.
it
Yeah.
should not have like that film should have succeeded at the box office. It's crazy that it didn't.
Mm,
But no wonder you've got Anya on the mind, the menu, like Furiosa.
mm, yeah.
The craziest thing about Furiosa, and I didn't hate it at all, but I know some people would have really struggled with it. She does not show up for the first hour of that flick. Like Anya Taylor Joy is not there for the first hour of that movie.
No, it's her
Uh,
younger self.
mm, um,
Yeah, but that way we get a bit more Hemsworth,
who is
like, motive.
who's
Yeah.
excellent in that
He
film.
was I was thoroughly on board, thoroughly impressed. I went into it being like, "Oh, I wonder if he's just gonna be kind of like a bit unhinged version of, like, the fat Thor," basically, and I was completely wrong, and I'm really glad I was literally proven wrong.
Yeah, and there's a moment where someone gets drawn and quartered by like motorcycles, and I was like, "Oh my god, like
Mm,
this is insane." Um, yeah, and I liked your comments about the costume design. And were you talking about the guy with the nipples? Is that what you're talking
yes.
about? Yeah.
Yes, I never noticed that there was cutouts and he's got chains on them and stuff because
Mm,
I'm too busy like, there was just so much other movement going on in all the other films that I'm
mm,
like like a T-Rex looking at movement and
mm,
couldn't get it all, and there's so much sound and there was so much, like, gorgeous coloration that there was only so much I could explore in that one viewing with Fury Road.
mm.
So then this film, I'd already experienced it a bit more. I could sort of not look at the gorgeous, like, cliffs and rocks and deserts and stuff, and I could start to look at other things, and, I'd seen
Look
the
at rocks and
Citadel, I'd
deserts
seen
and nipples.
but, like, I'd seen the Citadel before, so I didn't need to explore too
Mm,
much up there and too much of the, like, mechanics around where the war boys were. I didn't need to explore that, so I could stop and pull back and look at all the other things, and so there
mm,
was just so much there's so much there. It's
mm.
gorgeous, and so, yeah,
And
if I could
yeah,
see anything,
it's
like, and
real.
no, I don't think anyone would explain it as a gorgeous film except for me. I think it's a gorgeous film.
No, I think it is too. I think it's really stunning, like the use of color, and that's the same with the previous one. Like Fury Road is entirely in a desert. It should be visually very uninteresting, and the way he saturates the color and the way he uses lighting, like I always think of like Megan Gale on the pole, like when they get to the
Yeah.
end of like he does so much with it. And I remember when I reviewed Furiosa, it was one of the first 90-second reviews I ever did. I was saying that I loved it because it did everything that I wanted from Fury Road. Like when I walked out of Fury Road the first time, I didn't get it. I was like, "What's the big deal? Like nothing really happened. It's just there and back again." and then I
Mm.
came to appreciate it for what it is. But every single question I had, every gripe that I had about wanting a story and character development, like Furious like delivers tenfold. It's like everything that was yeah. So like if you watch them back to back, which I've yet to do, but I will do at some point, I've got to imagine
Mm.
it's just this glorious, like epic, like yeah. Furious
Yeah.
is incredibly underrated. Like people like give that flick a chance. It's so good.
Yeah. So that's probably one of my most recent ones that I was really, really into. Um, but yeah, come on, let's go back. Anya Taylor Joy. Let's go with the menu first.
All right. The last time I saw this was like the week after the first week of January 2023. It was 2023 because the menu was a 2022 film, if I remember
Yeah.
correctly. So the last time I saw it was over 2 years ago, and I've seen it once. Um,
I
but it
still
is
know that you'll remember more than me.
it's very unhinged. Um, yeah, sorry, I'm trying to think. I mean, I remember I loved it. I loved how pretentious it was, and I love that it
Mhm.
leans into how pretentious it is. I know that's not really talking about winging it, but I just love how these characters all behave like they're refined, but like they're so obviously not refined through their bragging about being refined. It's like you can
Mhm.
see like you can see it.
Every character in the room thinks that they are the most deserving to be there.
Mm,
Like everyone in the room thinks that they are the elitist one in there,
except for
and
Anya
they're
Taylor
just
Joy, who doesn't really want to be there. like,
no, no. But I love like it, Ray Fiennes obviously is like the baddie. Like he's definitely supposed to be the villain, but for some reason through the storytelling, everyone becomes a person that you just hate. And
mm,
Tyler, Nick Holt's character, I'm like totally convinced he's the worst character. Like, as in, he's the worst
yes,
person in that film. Like
and it's
the
so
way that
strange
they,
because you're
yeah, the
used to
way that they
loving
unroll
him.
that,
Yeah. Um.
yeah, but the way they just make you utterly despise him with one simple little sort of monologue,
mm,
and then you relish in the scene where he's been made to be humiliated.
mm.
Like, oh, like juicy.
Yeah, yeah. And I think it's like one of my favorite Ray Fiennes performances, but I just know that it's one that people are rarely going to talk about because he was in Schindler's List and The English Patient and he was Voldemort. Like, so he's had such incredibly like overshadowing performances, but there's such subtlety to this, such nuance and like very such a quiet performance until it needs to get big, but it's very like kind of, we were talking last week or last episode about Jesse Eisenberg showing restraint in a real pain,
Mm,
and I feel like it's very similar here, like very different characters, but it's very much Ray Fiennes just like showing that restraint, which
mm,
he doesn't often have to do. Gets to be the loud one, the silly one, like the aggressive one. He gets to be big quite a bit, and so this was
mm.
such a very different flavor, no pun intended. Um, for him to play, and I loved it. I just love
Mm,
seeing him, and like he's so quiet. Like there is this kind of sinister air about him, where you're like, I know, because I knew it was a horror film. It was kind of marked as a horror film. It's not really, but like it was
mm,
kind of branded as horror. And the whole time, I'm like, I know that he's going to be the antagonist. I know that something's going to go wrong at some point, but I don't know what, and I don't know
mm.
when. And because I like when I first heard about the movie, I thought it was about a chef who poisoned people, like he was poisoning people with
Okay.
food. I didn't know anything about it. I just knew there's something off about the chef. So the whole time I'm like, when's the shoe gonna drop? And like you can tell there's something off, but it just until it happens, you have no idea what to expect. And if I
Mm.
remember correctly, the first really weird thing is the gun, right? Like the
Yes, so it's called
yeah,
The Mess.
the mess,
Yeah,
yeah,
The Mess. I think it's I'm trying to count in my head how many I think it's the 4th course.
yeah,
Like, yeah, and just the way that they suddenly like, in the film, the decisions they could make when they bring a plastic curtain across before he shoots himself, but they bring it across quite quickly and then bang, he shoots himself. Like,
yes,
they could have brought it across and dragged it out and put the camera on it and put the camera back to his face. Like, they could have sort of slow mode, slow down, drawn out this moment, but it was so absolutely fleeting and quick to really, really hit you and really shock you of just curtain and the
Yes.
sound and the camera wasn't on it and bang and he's on the ground and just so that not only are the people in the room be like, what the fuck just happened? The audience is like, what the like what?
But
Faster than your
also,
brain can
like,
comprehend.
there's if I remember correctly, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, the cleanup, if I remember, is quite quick as well. So it's very much like, "Oh, don't worry about it. Like, it's not a
Mhm.
big deal. We're moving on." And,
Yeah,
like,
that's
you're
not
kind
the
of
point we want you to look on
and
and
you're
focus
meant to
on.
deal with it. You're like, "Hey, no, hang on. Like, you've just shown me the most shocking thing in this film so far, or if I'm a character, you've just completely blown my mind, and now we're just supposed to get on with it? Like, what do you?" Yeah, and that's when the discomfort, I think, of the film really starts to settle in, is when you're
Mm,
like, "Oh, I don't know what I'm watching anymore." Like, because that guy wasn't
mm,
even a guest; he was part of the cooking team. Like, as a like, no one is safe. Um, and
mm.
yeah, which I really like. So yeah, it's never scary, and it's often very funny, but it's just this whole like unease the whole time. Um,
Almost like you're a hostage along with them,
mm,
basically. You're just in this small set, this small room, this
mm,
like gorgeously curated, like, yeah, confined, pristine space. I love the open kitchen right next to the table settings so
mm,
that you're really just picking up on the hive of the chefs and the sous chefs in the background. And I'm guessing it's the sous chef, he's second in command
mm,
character, the woman with a really cool haircut and a cool apron. Like that's all I remember about her. And I loved the scene where I think it's those big business idiot bougie boys are like, oh
mm.
well, can we have some bread on the, I think one of the menus is, or one of the items is the breadless breadboard or something, and they just have like
Yeah.
accoutrements and like, and they're like, can we have some bread? Do you know who we are? And she's just so great at being like, no. And they're like, did you
Mm,
just say no to us? Yes, I did. You cannot have bread. Like she's just so, no, you're not getting bread. And you just feel that tension like rising and rising at this person saying to like this woman saying to these men no, and they
mm.
said, do you know who we are? And oh, it's so great. And I'm trying to remember, um, yeah, because I've only seen it once as well, but the turn of the cleverness where Anya like tries to get out and the escape is sort of ruined, and you can see she has a moment where she's just sort of all or nothing. She's like, oh well, I've got nothing to lose, I'm just going to try this, and I'm going to try insulting and defying and see where
Mm.
this goes. And you can watch her as it's unfolding, picking her next little step and picking her next step and taking a next gamble. And yeah, the way that she is able to leave is just like
Yeah.
you are absolutely like white knuckling the tablecloth, being like, oh my god, is this going to work?
Mm.
It's so great. And just the beautiful, like, almost release in Ray Fiennes' face, and the beautiful, like, his eyes sort of swell up with just this joy of tears, and his face softens and his posture softens, and you just watch this moment as if she's gifted him with a final meal almost as well. Like, it's just a beautiful little moment.
I really appreciated that, and also like, not necessarily his well, certainly not his behavior, but his motivations of like, I got into this game years ago because I love food. I love food, and I want to present the best food ever, and I want people to enjoy it. And through his own success, it became less about the food and more about the reviews and about like the kind of
Accolades.
extravagance and like,
Mm,
like all the frills that came with it. And he's like, but that's not why I got into this. Like, why can't we just like food? Why do we have to turn it into something that we rank and critique? And that's how I feel about movies. I'm like, can't
mm,
we just love movies? So I felt very seen at times in that film, particularly towards the end. I'm like, yes, yes, like that's what it's all about. It's just about loving it. And so, yeah, that is a really beautiful
mm.
moment in a really weird film. Um,
I love that he chose to take down the people that had staled that
mm,
for him. So,
yeah,
like the critics, he takes down a critic because that has staled that journey and
mm,
ruined that journey. He takes down, the married couple who just do it for status. He's taking
yes,
down, you know, um, like the people who are just big fangirls but don't really understand the concept of like what it means to do these things. Just these
Mm.
fangirls who are, the Tyler character who just love it for the sake of. I can't
For the
even put words to it.
gram, it's like it's just for the
Yeah.
the clout and stuff like that.
Yeah, or just no, the people who get that rise and get that sense of importance from being with someone who's important, or
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
by being around the genius, you feel a little bit more accomplished in yourself, or a bit more like worthwhile within yourself by being close to someone genius.
Yeah,
And
if you think he's a genius, well, you must have a pretty high opinion of me because I'm with the genius. Um, yeah, that's kind of what they're like. Yeah, it's a wonderful film. I got to go back and rewatch it. Like it's,
Mm,
man, like I'm really excited to go check it out again now. I remember I think I
mm.
watched that and Triangle of Sadness like back to back. I don't know if you've seen Triangle of Sadness. It's actually very similar in tone. It's also about like kind of taking down elitists and stuff like that.
Mm.
But the girl you mentioned, Hong Chow, who plays his sous
Oh,
chef,
okay,
um,
yeah, and it is the sous chef. Yes. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
she's been in a ton of stuff. She was in, and just recently, she was in Kinds of Kindness. She was in The Whale, the film with Brendan Fraser. She's wonderful in that.
Ah,
But I
and
think,
Sadie Sink.
and
Yeah.
Sadie Sink, yeah. But
Yeah.
the first thing I ever saw her in was How I Met Your Mother. She played one of Ted's students, and the character's name was Cook Poo.
Oh dear.
Uh, so like whenever I see her, and like that's the first time I saw her. So whenever I see her, so I'm like, oh, it's Cook Poo, and I'm like, hang on, no, like.
You're like, we've got to branch out from this.
But you always like relate to the most important performance, that was kind of ingrained in your head. And at the time, it was that. So, but she's great in that. That whole flick, oh man, like that's some top tier casting. Like, and what a great idea to choose Nicholas Holt as someone who has often played an underdog. Often plays. He's almost in many ways. He is often almost taking on the role of Hugh Grant this generation, kind of like bumbling and like shy, but very charming. To take that and flip it on its head, it's like, man, I really like this guy, but I don't like this guy. Um,
Hmm.
yeah, and yeah, Anya Taylor Joy. It's almost the opposite. Like she's quite cold at the start. And you're not quite into her, and you're like not quite sure what she's doing, and then through her non-elitist personality, like, oh, I do dig this chick. Actually, she's pretty cool.
Mm.
Um, and
Yeah, her
yeah,
rudeness at the beginning, she kind of comes across as sort of, yeah, nonchalant, rude, a
mm,
bit, yeah. And you sort
mm,
of like, okay, lady, come on, this is a pretty
yeah,
big experience. Like, get
yeah,
on board. And then, yeah, it's the
yeah,
defiance and the rudeness that saves her. It's that tenacity that literally saves her life.
yeah. Oh
Yeah.
man, what a wonderful film. Um, and I guess like in terms of winging it, that's her the whole way through is she's just trying to get out of there. Because when you first said, I'm like, I don't know, that menu was pretty meticulously planned, Maddie. I don't know if there was much
Mhm.
winging. And then I was like, oh wait, of course, there was something else going on in there.
She kind of has to fucking wing it.
She has no option but to. Um, yeah, what a wonderful movie, and now I really want to watch it again. I have to add it to my pile.
Yeah, me too. And then Collateral. So we've covered how good Tom Cruise is, but how good is Jamie Foxx in Collateral?
So I'm going to say something that I think is quite unpopular. Not really a Jamie Foxx fan. I know he's really popular and like
Mm,
he won. I haven't seen a lot of his stuff. I haven't seen Ray, which I know apparently he's amazing in. Um,
mm.
but I remember like a few years ago, I saw him in an interview and like he's promoting. I think it was the Spider-Man flick he was in, like the not the newest one
Oh
that he
yeah,
was in, the first one he was in. And
yep.
I was like, I don't know if this guy is drunk or like whether he doesn't care, but this guy cannot string a sentence together. And that's really bumming me out. Like, why can't you respond to a question properly? And it really threw me and it really impacted the way I enjoyed his films. Since then, I've gone back and seen a few things I have liked him, but I do really like him in Collateral. I think he's excellent in it. And I think
Me too.
this is quite,
Collateral's at the top. Yeah, Collateral's the
yeah,
top of my list of his performances, and then I
yeah.
like him in Baby Driver. I like his character in Baby Driver, and I like.
He's so horrible in that movie. When the thing happens to him that happens to him, I literally cheered in this theater. I was like, yes, um,
You're
because he,
supposed to. It's the
yeah, yeah, oh
character.
yeah, absolutely. He's so cruel to Baby. I was like, good. Um, yeah, he's really good in that flick. Actually, that's another film I really love. Is Baby Driver. That was the coolest movie of the year for me that year.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, in this film, I think he plays a character that you sort of I don't know, I feel like you can kind of sum up and you kind of understand his character really, really quickly, the type of persona that he gives off,
Mm.
his costuming, his glasses, he's a cab driver, obviously being plunged into the situation he's in, like, I think, like, in the first scene where he actually becomes part of the mess, his body lands on top of his
Yeah.
cab from out a window,
Which,
and
if I
I
remember,
think
I
it's
think that's
yeah.
the first shot in the trailer. If I remember the trailer for Collateral, which is 20 years old, but I remember seeing that trailer in theaters, and that's how it opened. I was like, "What's going on here?"
I will
Um,
just always remember that scene because I think Tom Cruise, like, I think Jamie Foxx is like, "Oh, just take the cab, man. You just take the cab and you leave."
yeah,
And then Tom Cruise is like, "Do you promise? Like, do you promise you won't say anything?" It's just such a weird. Do you promise you won't say anything? And then Matthew Fox is like, "Yeah, man, I promise I won't say anything." And then Tom Cruise is like, "Get in the fucking car." Like,
yeah, yeah,
I just loved the delivery of like, "You promise you won't say anything?" Yeah, 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 man, I promise I won't say anything. And you think, "Are you kidding me?" Like,
yeah.
what? And then I loved, um, I don't remember much of it. I'm gonna have to rewatch it, but I do remember that his character is sort of like a slow build throughout it for a good chunk of like the first sort of third of the film. He's still like meek and scared and
Mhm.
in shock and in reaction. But then there's a scene where Tom Cruise makes him impersonate him and he has to go like into a club and talk to
Yes.
the mob bosses and suddenly like, I think he knows he has to commit or like, he's gonna just get shot in the face,
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
he's got
yeah.
to, and the stuff that he just pulls in this meeting, and you're just like, "Okay,
Yeah.
okay, you're not a damsel in distress here," like,
No, he has it's a slow rise, but he does rise to like that hero. Like he
mm,
got there's the underdog rising type storyline, which is really good. Um,
it's the, he doesn't crack under pressure
mm,
eventually, like, after, like, the fair few things are happening and spurring him on, and he's realizing he's really not gonna just easily walk away. Yeah, suddenly he can't crack under the pressure and he's got to, yeah,
mm.
gotta do it. I love watching that. And he doesn't suddenly become some ginormous, amazing, like, turn from like a 180 to an amazing hero, but he like pulls it off.
Yeah, oh no, he's flawed. Like, and he can be, like, there are stakes. Like, the
Mm.
whole time through the film, you're like, I don't think Jamie Foxx is going to make it out of this. Like, the whole time you're watching, spoilers for a 20-year-old film. Um, but is Eva Mendes in? Is she's the girl in the film? There's,
I don't remember. I mean,
let me have a,
potentially. I don't remember.
because he meets a
But like
girl in the cab, like, there's like a businesswoman, and like, he's trying to like get a date with her. And I want to say it's Eva Mendes.
that's a
Um,
good memory. Well done.
Well, I
I
did
don't
watch it a
reckon.
couple of years ago, so it wasn't.
Oh, okay. I don't reckon I've seen it in
Oh,
10 years.
no, it wasn't. Wasn't
Okay.
it? I don't remember that. And there's so many like big names in this flick as well. So, um, it must. Wait, was it? Um, Jada Pinkett Smith? She's not the romantic interest in it, is she?
I have
I
no
don't know.
idea.
And
I
Mark
have no
Ruffalo's in
idea.
this flick. I keep forgetting he's one of the FBI guys. I think.
Oh, yeah. I've got,
Um,
like yeah, I've got snippets of the film. I have these major scenes that really, like, made an impact and, like, major takeaways from the film, that I remember, but I haven't got the whole thing there. I remember taking away, The Quiet. I loved
mm,
again, it always generally always goes back to me with visuals and sound and but the quiet of the film with maybe the hints of the city as the backdrop, maybe the hints of a dog barking or a car on down an alleyway or over a street, but just that not that complete silence, but that city silence. And the coloration I really thought was interesting where like Tom Cruise is always like in sort of colder colors and cold, like really subtle colder greens or really subtle colder grays. He's in a gray suit, he's got gray
mm,
hair, but then the background has these little hints of warmth, and the
mm,
hints of warmth are always, well, not always, but from what my memory was, there was warmth in the background or in the set in like moments of chance, which I
mm,
thought was really cool. I remember when he's talking to, I think, the jazz musician behind him, it's kind of warmer and the warmer lights of the jazz room. And I think when he goes to the train station and there's that almost chance to escape at the train station, there's a bit more warmth from the
mm,
street lights. And yeah, I thought the play. the play on color was really interesting, and it was one of the first film I'd ever seen where it had a really obvious, yeah, like greener tone, like a green sort of,
Mm,
yeah,
yeah.
layer or yeah, and Tom Cruise is the bad guy in a gray suit. Like, you don't see that very often.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I'm glad you mentioned the gray hair as well because that is a look. Like that's such a good like why have we only ever seen Tom Cruise with gray hair once? Like why is this not
Yeah.
like when that happened I was like, "Oh, this is going to be his brand. He's going to be gray hair Tom Cruise now." Nope. Never again.
Nope.
But like
And
there's
even
some
it kinda sticks up a bit too, but he
yeah.
still always has it down and shiny and yeah.
Yeah, like he looks I feel like he looks more dangerous with the gray hair. Like or
Mm.
maybe it's just the way he carries himself like but yeah. Um It was Jada Pinkett Smith. I ran through the entire cast. There's pretty much no other women in this flick, so it must be Jada Pinkett
Okay.
Smith. I don't know where I got Eva Mendes from, but pardon me. And I completely forgot that Mark Ruffalo looks like a gang member. Like he is part. He's one. I think he's like a dirty cop, and he's got like slick back hair and a piercing and stuff in his ear. I'm like, oh my god, I forgot about this. Because I saw the guy, I saw him. Like, who is that actor? Like, who is that actor I'm looking at right now? They look really familiar. And I literally said minutes before that Mark Ruffalo was in it, but he looks bizarre.
The goatee,
Yeah,
like the flavors they're not Flavor Saver, but like the goatee and the really greasy mustache
yeah,
and yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, I'm looking at an image of him now, I completely forgot.
yeah.
Anyway, I just thought that was a really good film where I guess, yeah, there's elements of winging it.
Well, both characters have to, because Jamie Foxx has to get away, but then Tom Cruise's plan doesn't follow through, and he has to
Kinda.
start making things up. So I think it's still a really good wing in that movie, because
Yeah.
he has to, yeah, he has to try and get back on track and finish his contracts and get out of there. So I don't think his plan was to hijack a cab. Like I don't think that was the plan at the beginning of the night.
Or, at one stage, I think they get robbed and his briefcase gets taken off him, but that
Yeah,
doesn't seem to be a really big part. He seems to
mm,
get it back pretty quickly.
yeah,
Yeah.
uh,
But that's all
excellent.
I've got for tonight, man.
Oh, that was the two you want to talk about, just those two.
They're the 2 I wanted to talk about, yeah.
Nice one. I think we did pretty well. I think, like, considering literally like everything fell apart minutes before the recording, because I was literally
Yeah.
like, I was like, I don't want the audience to be discouraged by this, but I was like, look, I've recorded an episode that was going to come out next week. I can drop that instead. But if you want to talk about movies, I can find something to talk about. And thankfully, at the 11th hour, you're like, you're putting Zoe to bed. I'll come up with a list. And it was, yeah, I think we found some good stuff to talk about for sure. And I'm glad we're saving the other stuff for Nick. It'd be nice to have him back, although I'm sure he'll be devastated. We talked about Collateral because he loves Tom Cruise and he loves Michael Mann, who directed Collateral. but
We'll tell him in the morning. We'll make our
Nick,
apologies.
it's not even winter yet. Like, why are you sick? Um,
You don't
for
even have children going to daycare who are getting you sick. What is going on?
oh man, I told you beforehand. I don't think we talked about it on the show, but yeah, like Zoe literally woke up in the middle of the night, and I got about 3 hours sleep because she was unwell, and I didn't make her go to kinder today. I was like, you can stay home with me. It's cool. But and
Oh, the joys.
she was good because I was like, she's going to jump in every chance she gets and distract me from work. But she just chilled out. She watched the Lorax. She like did some coloring all by herself. She didn't need me to monitor. It was really good. I was very proud of her.
Well, that reminds me, I watched Moana too.
Oh, okay. Talk about Moana. I went and saw that on my birthday in the UK. So, what were your thoughts
Ah,
on Moana
why?
2?
Heck, you saw it way earlier than me.
Well, because it came
Okay.
out in theaters. So the UK got a few like Paddington in Peru came out around the same time, but it didn't come out in the States or Australia until much later. The UK got it because it's a UK, you know, like he's a national treasure over there, Paddington. But yeah, that and Moana came out quite early. So yeah, we went and saw Moana, and I really enjoyed Moana too. I can see um there's definitely more cracks in it than the first one because there's a few things going on behind the scenes with that movie as well. But I really enjoyed it. But what did you think?
I thought it was really lovely. I thought it was well done. I loved the songs. We have to play the soundtrack now so that Heike wants to learn the soundtrack. And I'm
Mm,
like, I don't know how you're going to go with all the like native Polynesian songs, but like,
mm,
okay, I'll try and read the words so that I can teach you those words. And
mm,
um, I think my only issue was with the first film, it was very, very easy for a young audience to understand, "We've gotta do this, we've gotta find Maui, we've gotta go here."
mm,
Like, it was very nice, a couple of stepping stones. This film had a fair few stepping stones, and
Well,
I couldn't understand why. I was like, why are we doing this and then this and then this and then this? I was like, this
I
is
can tell you why.
fine.
Because
Well, yeah, it was
Moana 2
fine, but
no, because Moana 2 was never meant to be a film, it was a limited series on Disney Plus.
yeah, but you
And
could tell they're either leading to something else or
mm.
it hadn't been refined and agreed upon enough to refine.
But yeah, because
Um,
there's the villain who has maybe the best song in the movie. I don't know, I can't remember her name now, but she's got a
it's
very, like,
Heiki's favorite.
it's like
Yeah, it's
very
Heiki's favorite
gospel-like
song.
and very, like, it's very cool song. I'm like, the only problem I had with it was in the theater, the volume, like, went way low at that point. I'm like, "No, this is a big song, like, it needs to be loud." But
Yeah.
it was a really cool song, but she never really goes anywhere, and then there's, like, a
No.
post-credit scene where it's like they're teasing something else, um,
Yes.
which I'm cool with, but, like, I would have liked more focus on, like, it felt like very much like an Avengers tease. They're like, "There's this villain, there's this villain, there's this." I'm like, "Yeah,
Yes.
but, like, this is Moana, like, we don't need the big villain team up, we can
That's
just."
how yeah, that's how I felt, and, like, for Heike, she was like, "I love it, it's fine," but she had so many extra questions,
Mm,
and I was like, "This shouldn't be happening in a children's film. My five-year-old shouldn't have that many questions about, wait, why were they doing that, and why did that happen?" And, like, there's always the questions, like, five-year-olds ask heaps of questions, but there was just a lot that I was like, if we refined down, that would've made more sense,"
yeah, I
or,
don't think
like
Zoe had many questions, but I think she was getting, like, a bit, I think she got a little bit bored after a while because it is, there's a bit more advanced stuff in there, um,
mm,
but they did it, like, they did some cool things in that flick, like, I really liked, I don't think any of the songs are really as good as the first movie, but I did like, I was waiting for Maui's song, like, what's Maui's song gonna be this time? Because You're Welcome is so fun, um,
"Can
and
I get a
when
chua?" Yeah, it
yeah,
was good.
like, that one I really liked it 'cause it was very much about, like, pumping Moana, but, like, that song made me cry 'cause I'm like, "Yes, she's so low, she needs this, like, do it, Maui, make Moana feel better." But I
Yeah.
really liked what they did, it's very rare for these films, is they aged the characters up.
Mm,
Moana's older now, like, she's got a younger sister.
mm.
Her parents are a little bit older. I really liked that they did that. I liked the group of friends that they brought along. Rose Matafeo, who's a New Zealand stand-up comedian, she plays the curly head friend. Great. Loved her.
Mm. I
Um,
like the dynamics of everyone, and I loved the return back to all the jokes about, "Hey, hey," like the
mm,
chicken. I just don't ever change, "Hey, hey," and just
mm.
how are you still like, I think one of the lines that Maui says is like, "The chicken made it."
Yeah.
Like, "Last time the chicken made it," and you're like, "Yeah, the chicken made it." Yeah, there's some really good one-liners, fun little bits, like, good little yeah, good little montages, good little adaptions of, yeah, Maui and Moana swapping and him having to pump her up and her being,
Yes.
like, the leader, and yeah, I absolutely thought it was fine, except for I was like, "We're getting why are we getting that little bit too complex when it's not supposed to be for me, it's supposed to be for my five-year-old."
Mm.
That was my only thing that I was like, "Hang on," and now that you mention it was for a limited series, and it just makes sense that they hadn't you can tell they hadn't agreed upon how to edit it down and how to
Yeah.
smooth it out a bit more.
Well, the
Yeah.
next big Disney one is Snow White. That's out this weekend, actually, which I think I'll probably take Zoe to go see at some point. Although there's also a new Looney Tunes film out, and that looks really fun.
Mm.
So, Snow White, there's been a lot of mixed reactions to. There's been a lot of controversy around that film. Whereas
Lot of walking on eggshells around that film, I think.
it just, I don't understand the CGI dwarves, man. Like, I don't think we need to do that. Like, I know some people kind of came out like, you can't talk about dwarves, and this might be controversial. I don't know if you give me the tap, I'll cut it out. But we're not talking about dwarves as in little people. Like, they're not like, they're magical creatures. Like, we did it with three Lord of the Rings films and three Hobbit films, which made billions of dollars. Like, why can't we just take that approach to dwarves? Like, surely that's okay. They're magical creatures. Um,
Yes, they're still
instead,
part of an old lore that yeah.
Instead, Disney got cold feet, recast and went CGI, and now we got this all sorts. I mean, I may have seen Snow White once. It was not really part of my repertoire growing up. It's not a particularly important film to me, but I'll go check it out. But anyway, we're going to hold the subject. Let's wrap things up. Thank you, Maddie, for saving the day with today's episode and bringing some great topics. The next time we're all together, we are going to hopefully talk about Mickey 17. If not that, at least we'll cover International Women's Day. Nick will be back next time. The next episode after this, Nadia Robertson returns. Actress Nadia Robertson sat down for another 3 hours with me, so look out for that one next week. But thank you, everyone, for listening. that's gonna do it from us here at Film Snob HQ, where every night is movie night. We'll see you next week.